Welcome to Sky Notes. In this episode, Lillian and I break down the astrology for the month of March 2026. There'll be an eclipse, some retrogrades, and a lot of fire. We pulled oracle cards for each sign to give some guidance, and we were not disappointed with the results. So sit back and enjoy while we check our Sky Notes.
Welcome to Sky Notes, everybody. Hey, Tracy, how are you doing?
I'm good, Lillian. How are you?
Doing good. So this week we're talking about March transits, and we picked a card from different decks for each sign.
We did. And
Yeah.
it blows my mind every time. Does it not blow your mind when you do these?
Oh, my cheeks are hurting. We gathered together and kind of gave each other a sneak peek, and just like previous months, it's fascinating what cards came up.
It's always appropriate. And not just to the sign itself, but in this particular case, the astrology. And that was a couple of times laugh out loud, like, okay, you don't have to scream at me. I get it. But it did feel a lot like the universe was like very loud about these things that needed to get said. So we will share those with you in the second half of the show.
Exactly.
Excellent. It's a crazy month, isn't it, Lily? I mean, I feel like we say this all the time lately, talking about since last year, even longer, but really it just has intensified and intensified and intensified. And people are feeling it. And I feel like it wouldn't really matter because everybody's sensitive, energetically sensitive, fatigued, we just don't have the capacity to take anything at this point, I feel like. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'll share a little context from the weekend. I broke my toe, and I remember when I was talking to you about it, you were like, I saw so many boots. And one of the aspects we're talking about are the Uranian aspects, and those are definitely broken bone aspects. Not a time to like stretch too far or kick something or hit something. It's really a good time. And we're going to be talking about this throughout the month, to have busy hands, to move your energy some other way, to take a walk. So there's a lot of surfacing energy, ending energy, starting energy. We are awash with too much stimulation. And so, the goal would be to keep that moving, and it's not going to stop through March.
No, we are coming to the end of the eclipse stuff, thank goodness. So that is, that's nice. It's one layer lifted that will lighten things up, and I feel it'll lighten things up and feel like there's forward motion again. And there's other things that'll contribute to that as well that we'll talk about that I'm very excited about. But yeah, it's just been a lot. And I mean, the astrology and everything around us is calling for change, and change is going to have challenges, and everybody's going to handle it differently. And, keep reminding myself, I'm exactly where I need to be. This is supposed to be happening. I'm safe. This is perfect, But
I'm available for alignment. I can feel my feet on the ground. It's going through me. I can let it out. Yeah. I picked up 2 things yesterday from my studio, and I was really like torn. Like, should I take them on or give them away? And I heard burn them. So once again, my favorite technique has come to the fore. I hope to be burning stuff later today.
Burn it, sister. Oh my goodness. Well, and I feel kind of like people are punch drunk after, because all the planets had to have a fight or whatever. They had to square Uranus as they moved into Aquarius, and Uranus is surprises, and in that fixed energy, it's like it is forcing the fixed stuff to move, and it doesn't like to move. So it's almost like there's a bit of an energetic hangover as well, because that was really choppy waters for us to have to swim through. So
absolutely,
yeah, and that is kind of crescendoing at the end of this particular week. As we move into March. So should we start with the transits for March?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. So Saturn is now in Aries. We're good. It's there solidly. It's not going to retrograde out again.
Mm-hmm.
It is, as we get into March, it's finally moving away from Neptune. Mm-hmm. And so it I joked that this has felt like your stoic cousin at Thanksgiving dinner stuck on drunk uncle's lap. And she
Yeah,
finally found a way to get away from
yeah,
drunk uncle. But
yeah.
she can't do it fast enough, so there's this like still clinging on
Slow.
to,
Yeah,
and he's still yelling the story across the room. So that's what it felt like to me, this Saturn Neptune energy. So we're going to finally be moving out of that. And then this week that we're pre-recording this, so at this point in time, Mars is coming in to make that square aspect with Uranus, which will,
right,
when this actually goes live on Friday, will be perfecting.
right.
And so I'll give my take on Mars and Uranus.
Mhm.
Mars is conflict. It's our fight. It's what kicks our emotions up. And in Aquarius, like there's a real strategic energy to Mars and
Right.
Aquarius. It's thinking of ways to get what it wants, right?
Mhm.
It's strategizing. And then it squares Uranus in that 90-degree hard aspect. And Uranus goes, nope,
Right.
nope, you don't get to do that. And I'm just
Yeah,
going to throw something at you because the whole point of Uranus is to take you by surprise and shake that, in Taurus, shake the ground under our feet.
that's right.
What do
That's
you, what do
exactly
you
right.
think of that particular
I
aspect?
agree. I agree. And I hate to contextualize this stuff against my own chart, but I feel like it would be disingenuous if I didn't say I have natally Mars conjunct Uranus. And so there's sort of this disruption that can happen at the end that is just unbelievable that I don't understand. And so the approach that I take is that every experience can have an outcome I don't expect, and I can learn from it. And so that is over decades trying to understand how to receive this stuff. Uranus is not necessarily trying to break stuff down and destroy it, it is bringing gifts. So, what are the gifts that you can get when you are pushed energetically? And then I think about that third chakra, right? We're coming up from safety, we're coming up from fecundity and love to like, what do I want? What do I want? And I kind of think, as we've been saying over and over, it's inherently incredibly important for all of us to know what we want, and not just folks who are really good at getting it, or not just folks who, I don't know how to characterize it, feel entitled to it. And so, however, we can open our hearts. I was saying to my husband today, because we were talking about the transits and kind of, woe is me a little bit. And then I went, but didn't you get a call last night from somebody who's really important to you? And he was like, yeah. And like, all of these ideas popped out and all of these things that are in seed form popped out. And that's where I think important for us to stick. We're in a seed form. So we're not going to clip off the fruit. We're not going to shape the leaves. We are going to preserve the seeds until we plant them in a nourishing place. And that's not happening necessarily in March.
Not yet, not at the beginning of March.
Right.
I'd argue that
Not today.
as it moves through to the end, it starts to get a bit more seed planting, I would say, right?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but you're right. This whole eclipse time and what's going, no, definitely not. And then you add that Uranus piece of you don't get to decide ahead of time what it looks like.
Right.
I always say, as an astrologer, I adore Uranus. As an astrologer who consults with clients, it's the most difficult thing to predict because the whole point of it is to take you by surprise. So it's generally the thing you didn't think of.
That's right.
But I will say that every time I've had a Uranus transit, it's been really important in moving forward, especially at times when I have not been moving forward. So
right.
that, just keep that in. I think people should keep that in mind if things start getting shaky.
Yeah. And so my advice for today, if folks are feeling uncomfortable, if you are able-bodied, go run, go walk, go do something. If you are not able-bodied, consider a shower, consider something refreshing, something that will clear the energy, and just imagine yourself being washed over with pure, clear water and things going through and not getting stuck.
Agreed. I'm going to say, like, when we say March is challenging, it's really the first week.
Yeah, the first week
You
is
know,
challenging. Sunday,
yeah,
Monday, Tuesday, I
there's a
think by
lot going
Friday
on.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's all at the beginning. Shall we
that's right.
dive into that? I
Yeah,
got a
so,
little
well,
something to speak to this eclipse and the qualities of it, so I'm
okay,
excited
before
to
we get to the eclipse, let's just talk about Mars is gonna change signs.
Yes.
Yes, and that's happening the day before the eclipse, so on March 2nd. And this is
Mhm.
important, especially in terms of the conversation that we've been having about not having any earth in the chart, having, not feeling grounded. Um, from going from Aquarius to Pisces, we go from our our parasympathetic nervous system being very active to then all of a sudden in Pisces, that empathy, that empathic feeling and absorbing. If you're not used to working with that external part of your energy, it's so easy to suck in other
Yeah,
people's stuff. And so
right.
with everything moving into Pisces, everything's really porous. Now Mars is going to go into that Pisces,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Now, the it acts from emotion and intuition rather than
Mhm.
force. So, the nice thing about Mars and Pisces is it is a bit more gentle than other
Right.
Mars placements. Yeah. And it if you're gonna work with Mars and Pisces, going from your intuition to,
Mhm.
working with your intuition to choose the direction you're gonna take in that Martian
Mhm.
way, important.
Mhm.
So with the difficult astrology, I would say, sit with it. Do the grounding exercise, clear the negativity away,
That's right.
and then connect into the direction that you wanna take and the action
That's
that you
right.
wanna take.
That's right.
That's gonna be the best use of Mars in Pisces, right?
I love that. I love that because we are in big change. Big change requires big dreams. You want to be as concrete as possible in your blue sky vision. So that means start whenever. And you're right, Mars is the perfect time to start it. And the only thing that I was thinking about was the warnings that I think about with Pisces in general, that it can be quite melancholy or not be able to filter out the things that are incapacitating, wounding, hurtful. And therefore, you want to cheer it up a bit. You can imagine protections. I had this wild thing this weekend where I imagined I was inside a black tourmaline wand and then inside a selenite wand, and just kept rotating through. So if you can imagine your protection, you can feel more assured that these are the kind of seasons where they'll show up for you and do that work. And then that piece about Mars being an expression of yourself, to not reject it, to not question yourself, but to orient to the good. Sorry, natural law, and then move, and you get where you need to go. So those were the only two things I'd add on to your
I love
expert
that.
analysis.
Yeah, and if with what you were saying and with the other Mars and Pisces piece, talking about this like being in our bodies but dreaming, it's
Yeah,
so interesting because it's, we really are talking Virgo and Pisces, which are on the
right.
same axis. And so the energy is very much about finding a way to balance those two things. So if you want to personalize this, where are Virgo and Pisces in your chart? So which
For
parts of your
you.
chart are activated at this time? And those can give you some clues on maybe where to do the work or what things are going to get kicked up or highlighted during this time for sure. Yeah. So did you want me to put up the eclipse chart and then you can talk
I
about
would
the things
love
you
that.
want to say? Yeah.
All right. So this particular lunar eclipse on the 3rd of March, 2026, 12 degrees, 52 seconds Virgo, is from the Saros cycle 133. And Bernadette writes, this lunar eclipse marks a time where the world seems driven by illusion. You may find yourself caught up in the manipulation of images and stories, either inspired by an idea or conversely, pardon me, deceived the shadow side of inspiration and idealism. To balance the seesaw between illusion and disappointment, look at your life and ask yourself some hard questions. How real and valid are your relationships? How practical are your expectations? However, this is not the time to act because the world is wrapped in a cloud of illusion and no one can see clearly. Instead, use this time to reflect and observe. You will come out of this eclipse with clear understanding of how impractical or ill-suited some of your relationships or projects are. You do not have to abandon them. The insights you gain during this eclipse will allow you to make changes, eventually placing these situations on a more realistic footing. For now, just watch, wait, and ponder.
I love everything about that, especially with everything else happening in this chart. That is a beautiful message for sure. And especially that you're looking where the moon is, and here it's sitting right with the south node. And it's tight, it's less than 4 degrees apart. So it is a total lunar eclipse. But the moon is with the south node, so there is letting go. There is stuff that's going to leave, you know.
Yeah.
And so I just love that message that Bernadette says with, you know, let it
allow it to happen.
Yeah, and I love with the thing there underneath them is called the part of fortune. So there is some benefit in it. Like that's it to me, that's like a little gift, you know, a little reassurance that
Yes,
this might feel hard, but it is for the best. You know, have faith. Is, you know, when
I
you have
agree.
faith on the other side, there's also always a faith piece, you know. Now that I just want to go ahead, you say what you're going to say, because I was going to
Well,
bring up
I'll toss this in. We don't have to talk about it right now, but I couldn't help but correlate the illusion with AI. And I wondered what you thought about that in terms of pairing this to what's been going on in the world. And that's in particular because several CEOs or people who are high up in different AI settings have said this is going off the rails. So it doesn't mean that we have to abandon it, right? It just means there's something showing up that's really impractical.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because they already couldn't control the internet, right? Like we have grown so quickly and evolved so fast through this technical age that we're in, that making it safe, they haven't figured that out yet. And then they add this other extremely powerful layer on top of it before they actually even had that figured out. I mean, it's a recipe for a mess that needs to get cleaned up. Absolutely. There's just, you just couldn't avoid, you know, you just couldn't avoid it. It's
like and in the context of this season, right? To me, it could be as simple as just assume everything's a deep fake unless you have done the research to prove that it's not. Or it especially underlines that take your time, make sure you know that what you're dealing with is real, and that's a brand new kind of component to how we evaluate our everyday lives.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, with having Neptune change signs and everything that happened with it in Pisces and Saturn being with it in Pisces and then coming and joining it in Aries, there's been this message about confirming reality for you. Like we've had years of this already of not, you know, you need to confirm the information that you're looking at because you do not have, there's illusion there. There's people who have a reason to lie to you. Right. So just pay attention and do your research. Yeah, absolutely. Another note so Mars, we talked about it going into Pisces. In this particular chart, it's at 0. And so that can be, problematic isn't the word I really want, but we don't quite know what action to take yet. So that Mars in 0 is a renegade. It's likely to have some misfires and to do the wrong thing before it gets it right. You know, it's an unknown, and everybody is encouraged to just try and figure it out as you try, sort of thing, with that Mars at 0 degrees. And then the other thing I thought that was along the same lines, we have 2 sets of house cusps at 29 here. So, you know, you've got 0, when you have 0 and 29, there's a shift coming, right? So this is there is a beginning in this that is, we don't know what it looks like, but some things have to end first, which is all part of that moon with the south node anyway. So it just reinforces that part of the story, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said about letting go has a benefit. I agree with that. And then with the Mars notion of keep it moving, but don't necessarily create any expectations out of it.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't get too attached to whatever outcome you expect because
right.
it's likely to take you by surprise a little bit. So,
Mhm.
and that message has come through in a lot of the cards that we chose for signs. So that's an
Yes,
interesting thing,
indeed. Yeah,
right?
it really
Keep
does. Yeah,
popping up. Yeah, for sure. Now the nice
yeah,
thing is Saturn is done with Neptune.
right,
It's moving away. It's still within a degree, but it's not partile anymore. So
right,
that's nice. So Uranus is in its last stretch where it's at.
right. Yeah, we
And
wanted to bring that up.
it's gonna
Yeah.
finish up, right, in Taurus. It's eventually soon gonna go into Gemini, not
In
this month, but
April.
soon. Yeah.
Yeah,
So anything that it's whenever we have the outer any planet going through the sign is gonna try to finish up at the end. It just seems more dramatic with the outers because it
yes.
lasts longer and it's more visible to all of us, right? So Uranus is gonna do whatever it feels like it didn't shake up enough, it's gonna try to get done now. So for the
Yeah,
next about 6 weeks. So just,
yes.
um, don't hold on too tight is all I can say. Don't,
And
it's
this
kinda like don't work against the horse when you're riding it. Ride with the horse.
right,
Yeah,
and the notions, the things that I've heard are make yourself available. This transition is fantastic into Gemini. There are things that may be surfacing in your mind that will take you in amazingly satisfying directions. You can't see it yet. It's a big change. It's coming down the pike. So the quote that I heard is, I'm available to be in alignment with the universe, or I'm available to be in alignment with the common good. And that helps you bring that Uranus in and receive the energy instead of being ready to rebuff it.
excellent. Love it. You always add the best tidbits, Lillian. It makes me so happy.
Yay!
Love it.
Yeah.
I spoke a little bit too quick and grabbed the wrong file. Okay, so we have that is the eclipse. Then on
Yeah.
March 6th, so we have Venus in Pisces up until March 6th
Right.
still.
Right.
And then she's going to go into Aries. Now this is a
Right.
feisty Venus.
Yeah.
I love Venus and Aries
Me
personally when
too.
it's in a natal chart. I love it. It makes me very happy. Um, but she's an evening star. She is rising behind the sun. So it's a bit of a gentler Venus in Aries, not as
Mhm.
she can be pretty
Warlike.
bitchy in the
Yeah.
morning, which I love. Like I'm the feistier that Venus is, it's
Yeah.
having a conversation with my Venus and my moon. So I'm just like,
I
and my
love it.
Mars. So I'm just,
Yeah.
it makes me really happy. But she does have a bit of a dreamer quality still because she's a morning star. So
Mhm.
we're pretty much the whole month is Venus and Aries. And so
That's
there's
yummy.
it is nummy when we're talking about all this Mars energy, because we're
Yeah,
going to have by exaltation, we have Venus is connected with Mars. So they are
exactly.
having a direct conversation. And so, if there is an opportunity for us to be grounded and put out there what it is we want, the two planets in charge of, what we want and how we go get it are having a very intimate conversation.
I love that.
And so that is really beautiful. Yeah. So and she's there till the end, almost the end of the month, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And then the next, do you want to add anything about Venus and Aries before we go on?
Mm-mm. I loved
Okay.
what you said. That was perfect.
But on March 10th at 9:30 p.m. here, so 11:30 p.m. on the eastern side, Jupiter is finally stationing direct. So I mean, this is not going to happen quick, guys, but we've had 4 months of Jupiter retrograde. And for those of us who don't have it retrograde in our natal chart, finding our happy, finding the optimism, it takes a bit longer when Jupiter's retrograde.
Right.
It rules my chart. So I've been watching this cycle for a while, and it's like it has
Mhm.
consistently does not matter which sign it's retrograde in, although these water signs make it even more so.
Mhm.
It is much harder to be optimistic when
Yeah.
Jupiter's retrograde. And it's
Yeah.
because we're not supposed to be sending that energy outward. We're supposed to be
Right.
going inward. It's retrograde,
That's right.
right? So, It's a bit slow, and I can't at this precise moment exactly. Oh, I know why, because in the next chart we're going to look at, it's still retrograde.
Right.
So sometimes when Jupiter goes direct, it almost feels like a slingshot. Like all of a
Right.
sudden, everything that's been on hold happens all at the same time.
And we can expect some of that, right?
But because in the equinox, it's still retrograde. So there are still
That's
some
right.
delays. It won't, the stuff that gets shot out of the gate might have to stumble a little bit first. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're planning stuff. There are
Yeah.
still some hurdles and some things to think about.
Yeah, it's almost like however you keep notes for yourself, keep notes this month rather than set up projects or get folks in line or get supplies. Just put notes in a jar, like March 2026, right? And then
Well,
add these little bits to your
yeah,
daily practice. Yeah.
right. Well, it's funny that you say that because with the Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and then with all the Neptune, Saturn, and all the Pisces energy, I had said, I think, I don't remember which newsletter it was, but I'm like, this time that we're in right now, dreaming. Where I think it was
Yes.
our year ahead video we talked
Yeah.
about it.
The
I'm like,
blue sky.
it's
Yeah.
going to be very prophetic, the things that will
Yes.
come to us in our sleep. And so my recommendation was, you don't ever have to keep a dream journal again, but at this time there's some very valuable information out
So
there.
smart. That's
So I
so
feel like what
smart.
you just said is like another confirmation of that. Write it down because things are going to come at when you least expect them.
And you have to sort them out later. And there's nothing that says it's okay, you can deal with it later, but putting it in a jar and having a date outside of the month of March to take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So that Jupiter direct is not going to go retrograde again for 8 months. So we've
Right.
got some good Jupiter energy.
Yeah.
It'll change lines, but it's not going to go retrograde for a bit. So that brings us to March 20th, which is the Sun
So
enters
excited.
Aries, the beginning of our
Yeah.
solar year. So it'll
Yeah.
be our happy new year, and we're going to do an episode on it. So we're just going to
That's right.
just touch on it
Yeah.
today.
The equinox, what's fun about it is, a lot of times, if you remember from school, it's when you spin an egg that's raw and let it spin and spin and spin. And because of the balance of the earth on that day, there's a longer length of time to spin. Of course, we've heard about the specificity of the light. Um, it is meant to be about balance. And so my 2 cents is it's also about imbalance. And that with the retrograde Mercury and the sort of, shimmying from the retrograde station, whatever, post retrograde Jupiter, it will take a while to kind of work that out. It will take a while to kind of find that balance, and that's okay. So
Agreed.
another repetition of that theme.
Yeah, right. Well, and the point of sort of looking at these is this gives us sort of a flavor of the season.
Mhm.
And so as we've mentioned, that Jupiter retrograde energy carries a little longer than it would normally. Also, the Uranus in Taurus at the end
Mhm.
of those degrees is going to drag that out a little bit longer
Yeah.
because it's in this chart. So yeah, just some things to be aware of. Mercury is station, but still technically retrograde in this chart. It hasn't actually
So
shifted into
interesting.
station direct. So we've still got some of that reflection energy happening from both of those planets. So that's something
Right.
to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah.
It's a very weird one of the things that is consistent as we've looked through the astrology of 2026 is there's a real reflective quality, which because some of the situations that we're in are quite difficult, I think that's hard for people to do.
Yes.
Understanding how you've contributed to what's happening right now can be a sensitive thing for people to dive into psychologically. So we're being reminded that reflection is part of the process.
It's so interesting, and I agree with you. So if you find yourself, I just watched a video on projection, right? And that psychological thing where you disassociate from something you're doing and somebody else gets the blame for it. And it's so interesting because if you can't handle this stuff, the technique is to relax, to find a way for yourself to relax because there's no requirement. Tracy and I are talking from our experiences and from our studies and the myriad ways things can show up. it's infinite. There's no requirement for you to take anything on, based on what we're saying.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to point out, it's a new moon. So there is a freshness, right, with that moon in Aries. It's feisty.
Yeah.
With moon in Aries and Venus in Aries and Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. Feisty, for sure. But there is a freshness, it's a new moon in Aries. There's a new beginning thing, but don't forget that we still have the retrograde Jupiter energy and the retrograde Mercury energy. So burst forward, but you might have to go back within and reflect on if that didn't go the way you thought it was going to go. How can we shift? How can we adapt?
Right. That's expected. Yeah. That's not a problem. That's expected.
Nope. It's the way it's part of, it seems to me, tell me what you think of this, Lillian. It seems to me that there's so much change coming, but along the way, it's like, okay, but this happened. Okay, now go in and where does that sit?
Right.
Is it moving something out of the way? Right? Is there something that something you haven't thought about for a really long time that now it's showing up? So it's a very purposeful moving forward, and you don't actually get to choose those pieces of it. You're still being asked to move forward, and you're still being asked to reflect. Right?
That's the tricky part of it, because maybe you dig it, maybe you don't, but it's not meant to be hurtful. It's development.
No. And I will say, the more self-compassion you can do it with, there's so much healing in that. I highly recommend it. But yeah, so it's exciting times. Absolutely. It's lopsided. It's going to activate just, not your whole chart, just a very specific part of your chart again. But that'll shift as things start moving into Gemini Cancer. It's all going to shift. It does every year. So yes. So that's that. Two more. Because we have Mercury stations direct the same day as the equinox, just not before the sun goes into Aries. So
got it.
Technically, Mercury's direct that same day, March 20th.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
And then what was the thing you were thinking about?
The 30th.
Yes. Venus goes into Taurus in the morning. So we need, as human beings, this grounding energy that Venus is going to bring us in Taurus. So I think this is the most exciting Venus transit I've had in a while, just because it's going to be so nice to have. I just feeling the moon in Taurus for those couple of days was magic.
Right? What a relief.
Well, and to be fair, it's a moon in Taurus with the ruler Venus exalted in Pisces. So, it was a beautiful moon in Taurus. You can't complain about that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Venus in Taurus is just going to be so nourishing for everybody, because that is a beautiful earth placement that will feed us. So I love that.
I love that.
So that's March. It's intense at the beginning. It's intense. But then things start to move forward and things start to unfold, and some happiness comes back in.
Exactly.
And so don't, my best, other than your beautiful suggestion with the grounding and the exercise there, I think that's really important. Also, don't be afraid to take some time by yourself and say no to things that, are going to take too much energy at this point, because I don't know about you, Lillian, do you feel this? I feel like any kind of being around people takes 10 times more effort right now.
I'm a mess around people. I'm just going to kind of park myself in my house and talk to folks on Zoom. We'll see, if that changes over time. But it is energetically draining, like fivefold. I don't understand what's going on. And so it's too much for me.
Yeah. I feel like with all the Pisces energy, and then with the eclipse on top of that, our ability to keep the energetic boundaries is just really challenging. And so it's just too easy to pick up everybody's stuff, so so don't be afraid to be alone.
Everybody's okay. It's okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we have these amazing
wild ride.
What cards did you draw? Which deck did you use?
Let me grab the box. Here we go. Oh, I'm messing up my background. Forgive me. I have Pema Chodron's compassion cards.
Beautiful.
And so they'll have that Tibetan Buddhist slant, but I found them fascinating, and I think we'll get something from them for the signs.
Very
So,
cool.
and your choice?
I am drawing from a deck called the Living Light cards.
Beautiful.
There we go. And they are sigil cards, and they're made by Meg Blackburn Losey, PhD. And they're based on a book that she wrote, The Secret History of Consciousness.
Okay, so I chose to start with Pisces, right? Because we're moving into Pisces. And the card that came up was called Change Your Attitude, forgive me,
Okay. Oh,
but remain natural.
oh, cool.
And the meaning behind it is work on reversing your caught up self-important attitude and remain relaxed in this process. Instead of being caught in a prison of self-absorption, look out and express gentleness to all things and just relax. But what I took from that for Pisces was a change in attitude that allows a natural expression can aid relaxation.
Beautiful. For Pisces, I drew, so that's taking part in the journey, card 21.
Oh, beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, I love these cards so much.
Yeah.
So that particular card, the message here is life responds when you participate. So intuition or imagination aren't enough. So Pisces is being asked this month to take action. And when you trust what you sense, take action on it. And the next step will become clear. So having faith, right? Take the step and it'll work out, and then take the next step. Pray or meditate, sure, but also move your feet, right? You physically need to move your feet. So that was my message for Pisces. Yeah.
Well, given that the one that I had was about a prison of self-absorption, and yours is like, here's how you get out. I love it. Aries, I have train wholeheartedly. Train enthusiastically in strengthening your natural capacity for compassion and loving kindness, which,
Beautiful.
you know, I'm leveraging Buddhist cards. So I would just say for Aries, the signs are go.
Okay, the card I pulled was As It Has Always Been is the card. And it's beautiful. Number 36. And it looks like that. I know.
I love it.
They're so pretty. And what this one means is, so you might feel like you're starting from scratch, that freshness that we talked about, but you're not. You're coming to a point where you need to make a choice that's directly related to the big picture. So it might feel like a small choice, but it's related to the whole story. And the power is not in rushing ahead, but in choosing that direction with intention and purpose. And any guilt or second guessing, leave that behind. Because what's important right now is that you own the decision and then move forward with purpose. So it's kind of repeating that idea where people are going to have to look in and recognize their part in the whole thing. Right now, Taurus.
So what I have for Taurus is in post meditation, be a child of illusion. I'll just bring that up here. Sorry. And I'll read it. When you finish sitting meditation, if things become heavy and solid, be fully present and realize that everything is actually pliable, open, and workable. This is instruction for meditation in action, realizing that you don't have to feel claustrophobic because there is always a lot of room and always a lot of space. So when I thought of that, I came up with the unexpected is a sign to join in meditation. And so instead of being alarmed or reacting in a different way, let that center you.
Right. So that's interesting because for Taurus, I chose card 52. I didn't choose it. It chose to be the Taurus card, and it's number 52 she has body cards, and this one is the body, the left foot. And our talk about lack of earth, it's interesting because I think it's 4 or 5 were body cards. out of 12, which is a huge, she has 74 cards in this deck. So that's a huge, huge proportion.
Wow.
And the message that comes with the card, or my interpretation, is resistance can keep you stuck right where you are, and it can
Mm,
leave you feeling like life's passing you by.
mm,
And that to me is that Uranus stuff in Taurus that we were can be dredging some of this up. And you don't know why. You don't know what it is that's leaving you behind. So instead of fighting what you don't understand, look at it like it's a doorway to pass through. And
right.
what you don't know yet might be exactly where that new perspective is. So experience it before you try to see what it is that you're trying to get to. And then that's when that new chapter begins. So, the message is about allowing again, and not in, what's the word I want? When you entrench, right? When
Right.
you deal with
Enmesh, not
them
getting
and mesh.
enmeshed,
Yeah. Yeah. This
maybe.
is saying, you know,
Yeah,
move.
and I feel like I miss oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like I
No, I'm done. That's
misrepresented
good.
mine, because what it is about is if you're pondering the world, if you've been stuck kind of trying to figure out stuff and you're not getting answers, it's easy to get entrenched in a hard feeling. And specifically what this is saying is let yourself be light, which I love matched to what you're saying, because it's saying you're going to go right where you need to go. So it's okay. Gemini is the unexpected, is a sign to join in meditation, and they'll say it slightly differently. Oh, for goodness, goodness, whatever you
There you
meet
go.
unexpectedly. Yes. And so I sort of mishmash this with Taurus, and I want to separate it out. It is a sign to meditate. It is a sign to go inside. Whatever shows up for Gemini, the unexpected is a sign to meditate. That's it.
Now, everybody needs to know we do not discuss this ahead of time. We don't even discuss which
No.
cards we're going to use, only to make sure we're not pulling from the same deck.
Right.
I don't even know that we have the same deck, so I don't know why we even do that part, but it doesn't matter. And we only share little tidbits ahead of time. So we come
Right.
at this not really even totally knowing what the other person was going to say. So this is unplanned. All that just to say this is unplanned. So for Gemini, I got the Quiet Within, card number 41, which it's
Wow.
beautiful. Yeah.
That
But
is
wait,
gorgeous.
it gets better. So for Gemini, the message is, at your very core, there's a place of stillness where the noise can't reach you. It has always been there, waiting for you to return to it. In silence, you reconnect with what you truly feel and what you genuinely need. As Mercury slows, take time to pause. The clarity you're looking for isn't going to come from outside of you, it'll rise from inside. And in meditation is the rest of the sentence. But the fact, I mean, I didn't even know your card, so that's crazy. But also that Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is about to
Right.
go retrograde. So just that alone
Exactly.
made me laugh when I drew this card, because it's very much,
Oh my
that's what Mercury retrograde is all about. And in Pisces,
God.
there's a spiritual element there. There's a
Isn't that
finding that,
something?
right? I love it. It made me really happy.
Oh, that's amazing. Next, Cancer. As opposed to slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, Cancer got don't waste your precious time. Whoops, oops, oops. You never know how long you have.
Okay.
And then on the other side, don't be frivolous.
Don't be frivolous.
Frivolous. And it's
Nice. Okay.
so direct that it to me it's saying go. You know what you know, go ahead and make your decision. And I love the notion of you don't know how much time you have, because when I think about it in Buddhist terms, I just think you have the infinite moment of the present. And so it's another like subtle thing to join the infinite moment of the present. But you know what you know, make your decision.
This is ridiculous. Sorry.
I love it.
Um, so Cancer in this deck got card number 54, the body, the right hip.
Oh,
Now, what this card indicates is flexibility begins at the hips. This is the place that helps you to move forward or back. The right hip speaks to how you carry your past.
Oh,
Let it guide you, not weigh you down.
mm.
Allow your interpretation of your past to evolve so that you free yourself to step into a lighter and freer future.
I love that.
Right.
Boy, if anybody has strong Cancer and watches this show, we want to know. We want to know what's up
Yes.
in March.
Yes. I mean, to me, you couldn't get a better follow-up to what you
Yeah,
said, right?
yeah,
Like, I don't think we could have planned that if we'd wanted to. The whole
yeah,
move forward, but don't drag your past bullshit with you, and
right.
especially since Cancer energy is so good at
I
holding on,
know. I
right?
know. Yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, some of these seem like subtle, here's a reward for you letting go of stuff that doesn't work for you. Like,
Yeah, and I
you know?
would, because these are so bizarrely sign specific in their
Yeah.
messages. It's
Mhm.
like, don't let the things that you have relied on get
Right.
in your way
Right.
to this new thing that you're going
Right.
to, you
It's
know?
unexpected, but you're okay. It's
Yep,
unexpected,
yep,
but you're
you'll be
okay.
okay. Yep, 100%. I totally agree.
All right.
What'd you get for
And now
Leo?
for Leo, I have keep the three inseparable. And the
Mm,
message is the three referred to here are your body, your speech, and your mind. Your actions, speech, and thoughts should be inseparable from your mind. You are training your mind in compassion and wisdom. So to me, that just meant grounding. It was, I mean, there's always an admonition to say what you mean and mean what you say and have your actions match your words. The fact that they incorporated the body this time spoke to what we've been speaking about, which is you got to stay in your body to do that.
well, and I don't mean to make it weird, but so I picked for Leo. The first of all, I laughed because I picked the number 1 card for Leo.
Beautiful. Well done.
And it's the body, the future.
That's so clear.
Okay,
There,
so your
yeah,
body
Leo.
carries its own blueprint, but you still have influence over it. So before you try to change anything, start with full acceptance of where you are right now. So when
Mm.
you're actually comfortable in your own skin, change becomes an act of creation instead of correction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the next is Virgo, and I interpreted this one. It's got a strong Buddhist vibe. So observe these two, even at the risk of your life. And the two referred to here are your refuge vows, the vow to take refuge in that which is not based on ego gratification, but on the open, unbiased nature of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and your bodhisattva vows, the vow to use your life to awaken in order to help all beings do the same. And so, because this is so Buddhist specific, what I thought was it's your interior and then it's how to share. And so, that is where you've made your promises. I mean, and a Virgo is going to make them to your community and then to yourself. And it's saying you can't separate those. So again, if one of them is weakened, take a look at it. Strengthen yourself, your vows to yourself, stand up for yourself, etc.
Mhm. So the thing that made me just smirk right now is that for Virgo, I pulled card number 48, and it's the
Mm-hmm.
body, but it's the kidneys, and there are 2 of
Oh,
them on there.
I love that.
I'm just going to read the little message that I came up with for them. So
Mm-hmm.
your body knows how to filter what doesn't belong, and so do you. So fully
Mm.
process your experiences, feel what you feel, then clear your thoughts and form your own values and opinions. What
Wow.
you carry is yours. Don't project it on others, and don't take on what isn't yours to hold.
Libra,
Yeah.
this one is take on the three principal causes.
Hmm.
And the three principal causes that allow us to put Buddhist teachings into practice are a qualified teacher, a mind that turns towards awakening, supportive circumstances. So for Libra, what I took out of it is there a teacher that's available for you? Is there, how is your mind? Is your mind able to continue to work with what's happening? And then the one that I really resonated with, so I was curious to see if that one had the resonance. How do you receive support? And do you need to reconfigure that so that you're actually getting the support that's coming to you?
Yeah, I like it a lot. So for Libra, I pulled one of the what would be considered major arcana, one of the first
Yes.
major cards in the deck. And it's the number 9 card, the infinite.
Mm.
And it was reversed when I drew it. So
Okay.
that was interesting. So the message when it's reversed is your ego might want recognition and reassurance, but remember, you're not operating by yourself. You're not in isolation. Every thought, every word, and every action has a ripple outward effect. So it's not only about how you feel, it's about how your energy is going to affect the whole, and to be conscious of that as you're moving forward through this time.
That's exciting to me that the pairing of the cards is that you have available resources.
Well, and it's interesting just within the context of the archetype of the Libra zodiac sign,
Right.
in that it tends to be worried about other people from that ego place. Whereas this is about, okay, let's take that piece out of it. Now,
Yeah.
how are you affecting other people, and how do they need to be
Fascinating.
important to you, right? So it's quite a poignant Libra message.
You want to hear Scorpio?
Sure.
Injured limbs, injured limbs. Here we go. Don't try to build yourself up by talking about other people's defects. Much more direct. I'm so glad I read it. Don't build yourself up using other people's defects. I agree with that. I think that it's talking about difficult situations, trying to hold dignity for other people. And as usual, I think it's you're going to get back the quantity that you've given out. So no matter how much you've shared about other people's weaknesses, here comes the feedback on your weaknesses.
All right. So Scorpio is the ripple effect.
Ah.
I love that card.
Yes,
cool.
That's extraordinary.
And it's interesting, just given if we think about the zodiac and in the story of what we've been through with the there's so much conspiracy energy, and there's so much of that digging into mysteries that are there and some aren't there. And that's very Scorpionic, right?
Yes.
That I'm not saying Scorpios do that. I'm saying
No.
that tendency is Scorpionic.
Yeah.
Two different things.
That's right.
And so, yeah. So with this idea, this whole the ripple effect idea, nothing disappears. Every
Right.
word, breath, and intention moves outward and eventually returns. So you may never see the full impact of what you set in motion, but it exists. Be mindful of what you send into the world. Energy carries momentum, and it always circles back. And I just thought, I mean, I think we all need to keep that. I don't think that should just be for Scorpios.
Oh my God, I was thinking of myself 100%.
I know, me too. And the thing that struck me about that is that as we're talking about the Pisces and the being kind of spongy and being able to absorb other people's stuff, there's also our things that we're sending out can go farther, and they can hit their mark a lot easier. Not necessarily mark, but you know what I mean? They can get attached to other places.
They can hit people and change them. You know, like at this funeral I went to this last week, I got to hear the beautiful stories about these incongruous moments where this man had influenced hundreds of people and what it meant to them to have him interact with them in these different ways. And so it is kind of a reminder, like, yeah, we see you, we hear you, it's okay. And I love that mine was, don't focus on the stuff you don't like.
Yes, because too much of that negative thinking might come back. Yeah. It's a good point. It's a good reminder for everybody, really.
Yeah.
Anybody out. I think that's really important for everybody.
We love you, too. Yeah, sorry, Scorpio. Let's move on to Sagittarius so you don't feel so singled out. Mine is don't ponder others. Wait. Similar
So,
to Scorpio, it's sort of like the same thing. Don't use it to become arrogant, which is tragically a Sagittarian quality that's easily acquired. So I mean, it's kind of saying people are hurting, right? And like it's not a weapon that people are hurting.
right. That's a good point. I like it. Yeah, my Sagittarius, I chose it's card number 18, Gateway, Form and Function.
Wow, I love it.
It's a cool card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the message here is throughout the universe, there's unformed energy, both light and dark, that's waiting to become some form of reality. And Sagittarius, you have the power to call it whatever you want, to create the reality you desire. Whatever that reality is, it's yours to create.
Ooh, I love that.
Well, and I love that it takes like take responsibility because you're creating your reality. And so
Yeah,
understand how you fit into that whole story. And again,
I love
we
that.
all need to be hearing that as well, you know?
Right. And don't copy. Don't try to put people down. You know, you're just going to invite that onto yourself. Just know that things are happening and evolving and be patient while they come out. Lillian. Oh, wait, Sagittarius.
Exactly.
These last cards are real heavy hitters. I want to say Capricorn. I have a note that gentles up this next card. So
Okay.
work on the greatest defilements first for Capricorn.
Wow. Okay.
And the interpretation is gain insight into your greatest obstacles, pride, aggression, self-denigration, and so forth, and work with those first. Do this with clarity and compassion. So they're just whipping through the northern hemisphere winter going, shh, no talking. Look inside, fix that first. But that to me suggests there's a solution in there.
Yep. I like that. I'm going to preface my card by saying, you know, one of the very powerful things about Capricorn, but something that can get them tripped a little bit up, is that when times are difficult, especially if I mean they're fixers, so when times are difficult, they just get busier, right? And they'll work harder and they'll do
Right.
more. And
More.
you know, whether that is for their own benefit or helping people is the thing, working to help people is the thing that keeps them going. But it does just keep them going, right?
That's right.
So the card that I pulled for Grace is number 20, and it's the
Wait.
curiosity of exploration, which is that's not a natural thing of Capricorn. Not saying
Right.
they're not good at it. It's just not the natural place that they're going to start. That's for sure.
Right.
That's not an earth sign thing, actually. I'm not even going to put
Right.
that on Capricorn. It's not an earth sign thing either. So the message here is every discovery begins with a question. So stay curious, look closer, ask again. Even if you think you understand something, there's more beneath the surface. So don't expect things at face value, accept things at face value. Insight waits for those willing to keep exploring.
Wow.
So I think this is like the 5th time we've heard a message like this, where it's like, don't get too attached to the outcome. Keep stay curious, stay flexible. And we talked about this last month too. Like, this is a message that does just keep coming up and shining and telling us this over and over again.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And I think the opportunity for the Capricorn, you know, when it talks about going in and fixing your own stuff, right? And then your comments as well. These are two different parts of the same work, right? And what I love about that is my assumption with Capricorn, could be wrong, is that they favor practicality. They need to know as much as they need to know to get it done. And this is asking, open it up a little more for this month. We need you to be a little more aware of what's going on. So I do think it's within grasp, but I love what you're saying about the cards, because check out Aquarius. Abandon any hope of fruition. And I believe that it's just tricksy business on Pema Chodron's part, because she could have just stopped it at abandon any hope. And I think she's describing hope as kind of a lullaby, something that you think of to calm yourself down. And so what she's saying is, it's much more important. I'll read it here. The key instruction is to stay in the present. Don't get caught up in hopes of what you'll achieve or how good your situation will someday be in the future. What you do right now is what matters. And in ways big and small, that's what each of these cards have said, that narrowing your view to the present moment, and the extra parts, don't unravel it, don't make up a story about it, hold on to it, make some notes that you can catch up next month. That's what I see. But I wanted to make sure to be clear that that's not, you will not get anything. You do not know if you're going to get anything. Two different things.
So for Aquarius, I chose card number 15, which is the other hip. So flexibility keeps you aligned with your bigger vision.
Yes.
You don't have to abandon your ideals, but you may need to adjust the route. A quick pivot at the right moment can prevent unnecessary detours. Stay open, and evolution, it requires movement.
Yes.
So be willing, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I would say keep your hands busy. When in doubt, keep your hands busy. And no one said don't rest. Rest when you need to.
Absolutely. I mean, we're still in eclipse season, and rest is the thing. So move, rest. If you need to, like, if the news is driving you crazy, disengage, just, go in. So thank you, Lillian.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.